Welcome to day 254 of our BU 365-day challenge. Today we're talking about communication frames. I always think of glass frames when I hear the word frames, but I also think of picture frames and framing a picture when we're taking a photograph, things like that. This is one of those things that happen and we experience all the time, yet I personally, and probably the vast majority of people on the planet, never consciously think about or consider the frames through which we experience communication. Communication frames, I did a bunch of research on this topic because I thought it was so fascinating, and I should read my notes if I could get my magnifying glass handy and share a couple of the key things that I picked up. Because our action item today is to pay attention to the communications that we have and the frames, the way the communication is presented, the way it's framed as it's delivered to us or as we're delivering it. It's just as important that we consider our frames as we're presenting communication and communicating with different people and different parties in different situations as the information that we're absorbing and we're experiencing. For example, when I was younger, I was in the newspaper industry, the journalistic frame, and the newspaper, just like people on social media these days, framed everything for and with the intention of how can we get the most attention? How can we get the most eyeballs on this article? And we did that through creative and audacious headlines, right? And people still do that today. They put incredibly intriguing headlines on their posts, on their pages, on their, we use headlines for everything, primarily to garner attention, get attention. So people will look at and read and want to read more. I fall for it all the time when I'm going on my phone to do something. There'll be a headline that pops up from Facebook or some other social media platform that sucks me in and gets me reading it. And then I remind myself, no, I'm here to do something else, and I redirect myself. But these frames are incredibly powerful in terms of directing our attention to the things they want us to see and diverting our attention from the things that they don't want us to see. Think of the news and the media right now. Mass media is absolutely professional, and not always in a good way, because this can be used for just like anything else. Tools can be used for good or for evil, right? A hammer can be used to pound a nail or to pound someone's head or hand or whatever. So tools are only as good as the person that's using them and the intent with which they're using them. So frames, how do we present information? Oftentimes, and there have been scientific studies that have shown that when we're given choices or alternatives, the way they're presented and the way they're phrased will impact our decision making. So the way things are framed impacts our beliefs, impacts the way we think, impacts whether we think about something or not, impacts how the message is received by the person that we're giving the message to. I mean, we've all seen examples of you can take the same sentence and you can present it in several different tones of voice with different body language and different mannerisms, and what seems like a loving, kind phrase can actually be a threat. So today, as you go about your day and you're having conversations and you're listening to media or absorbing different communication messages, notice, purposefully, consciously notice the frames that it's being presented through, because everything is always presented through a frame that is best for the deliverer of the message, not necessarily best for the receiver of the message. Think if you've ever been in an argument or an adversarial relationship with someone. When you're arguing, the person that's speaking is speaking from the frame of what's best for them. The receiver is not hearing what's best for the other person, that's how they're presenting it. They're hearing usually an attack. So today, if you want more information about frames, we could talk about it. We could do a whole separate session on frames, different types of frames, when they're used, when they're not, how to use them appropriately. Again, if you're getting deep into communication and you want to know more about how to be a better communicator, this might be a whole topic of study that you would undergo to figure out, how do I present my information better? And it's probably one, now that I know about it, I will spend some time studying and getting more education and more experience actually using it intentionally, because I will admit I don't necessarily use frames in a way that makes sense or that is best for the information that I'm presenting and for the audience that I'm presenting to. I just kind of be me, and maybe being me isn't the best frame. For a while, I was presenting through the frame of Pajama Grandma. That was the persona. And I guess frames are also our persona, who we show up as. And it's usually not all of who we are. It's just a portion of who we are. All right. Any questions, hit me up. Again, our action item today is to pay attention to and just notice, and then share one frame that you noticed today. If you watch the news, it's pretty easy. It's all about getting attention, or it's all about diverting our attention, having us focus on something so that we're not focusing on something else. It's a very manipulative strategy, but it's also very effective. It's impacting millions and millions of people every day. All right, have an awesome day. I will, of course, be tomorrow with another communication topic. I realized I pulled a bunch of cards on the topic of communication, and we haven't done any of them yet, so maybe I'll pop in and we'll use one of those tomorrow. All right, if I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow. Pay attention to those frames today. Bye.